on my table is a set of spark plugs. Okay, this is spark plugs of my motorcycle, the Zontes 200J. And as you can see, these are two spark plugs. And now this is called Torch B7RIU. Okay, and this one is from this manufacturer called NES CPR8. Okay, so we are going to look at what a spark plug is, what it does, and the types that we have in the market. And these are different sets of spark plugs. Okay, and we are going to see the differences and how each works, or how each performs, and what advantages or disadvantage each of them carries. Okay, so one thing that you have to be careful when you are buying spark plugs is you need to have the same distance. Okay, and I'm looking at the distance between this place and this farthest end. Apart from specifically knowing which material you need for the tip, you need to know this distance. And this distance is important because this spark plug, it screws into the cylinder head at the top, and so it protrudes into the cylinder head. And you will not want a situation where you are mounting a spark plug and this distance here is longer than expected, and when the piston comes up, it strikes the spark plug. It strikes the spark plug, because that can cause engine damage. Now, these are two types of spark plugs, and we are going to look at the differences. And the first difference that we are going to note is with the tip. Just trying to get this camera to focus. Okay, so you can look at that tip over there. That is a very small tip. We are looking at the place where the spark originates from, the place where it does fire. You can see that a very small tip over there. Okay, let me use this white part of the board. That's a very small tip, and this one is a spark plug whose firing material or whose electrode is made of iridium. And with this one, you can see the tip is, it's a bit thicker, and this one is made out of copper. So you have a copper spark plug, and you have another one here, which is an iridium spark plug. You can see how small that tip is. Other materials that spark plug can be made of is tungsten and palladium, but now iridium and copper are the two most common types. Okay, so we'll start with copper. Copper spark plugs are generally very cheap. This spark plug goes for about 150 shillings. Okay, for this one piece. I remember that's how I bought this piece for, and this tip over here, it's made of copper. Okay, copper is generally cheaper. It's not that resistant to heat, so it does not last that long. Okay, and my experience of using this spark plug, because I am talking about what I have experienced with these two different spark plugs. My experience with using this copper spark plug is that, number one, starting the bike will not start in one go. It will take about 1 or 2 crankings, and severally I will have to choke the bike up for it to start. And no wonder you can see it has this black, this black thing all over the spark plug. And this is because of applying the choke in order to get the bike started. So starting the bike becomes a bit harder. I have to use the choke, especially on very cold mornings, and that takes a toll on the battery, because with that kind of starting, then the battery is going to wear out very fast. Okay, and I've also noticed that the ride is not that smooth. I'm getting a bit of a rougher ride, and it does consume fuel a lot. Okay, so that the only advantage with this is that it is cheap to buy, but at the end of the day, I'm getting a rougher ride, I'm getting a hard start in the mornings, and I'm also getting to consume more fuel. But now, on the other hand, with this iridium spark plug, the bike starts with the fast crank, starts very fast, so I do not have to crank the bike over and over again, and therefore saves on the battery life. Number two, the ride is very smooth. Okay, there's less vibrations of the engine. Okay, and I tend to use lesser fuel. After using this spark plug, this copper spark plug for a while, I had automatically gotten used to the number of times that I need to refill the fuel. But with this kind of spark plug, I find that yes, my conscience somehow tells me that the tank is empty, but when I check, I still have some good amount of residual fuel. So this spark plug, although it is a bit more expensive, gives better fuel economy, a smoother ride, and it cranks in one go, but it is more expensive to buy. Now, I had imported 3 of them some 2 years ago through AliExpress, and I have basically used all of them. This is I have the last piece in the bike that I am currently using, and I will consider getting more of this because I did not find these copper spark plugs giving me any value because of the disadvantages that I've just mentioned. So, what role does this thing play in the engine? Now, this spark plug, it's simply a device that delivers a spark into the combustion chamber to ensure that there is a combustion and that the fuel air mixture burns. So it carries electrical current from the coil, enters through this part, and then it is shielded or it is insulated because this electrode now goes through this ceramic component, and then it is shielded by the ceramic component all the way to the bottom, and where this electrode now protrudes from this end. So it is shielded by this ceramic component, and its work is just to deliver that electrical energy from the coil pack through this electrode and into the combustion chamber, and that ensures that the spark is delivered at the right time to ensure that fuel combusts, that fuel burns, and therefore ensures that you have combustion happening and you have your machine running. Okay, so although these spark plugs have been, I've been using them on the bike, but even when it comes to the automotive world, the principle is still the same. We still have iridium and copper spark plugs, and iridium spark plugs are considered like the premium spark plugs, the likes of the Bosch, the NGK, all those types that are in the market. Okay, so the other thing that you also need to take note is the color that you get from the tip of the spark plug. Ideally, the color that we get from the tip should be a brownish tinge. Okay, it might look fold on the on these outer areas, but as you can see, the tip itself is brownish. This brownish indicates a spark plug that is working in the ideal environment, and that the air fuel mixture is ideal and combustion is complete. This spark plug end should not be wet, should not have oil, petrol, or water, and it should not fall as black as this one looks, especially on the tip. So I hope this information has been useful, and please guys, subscribe, like the video so that I get more motivation to produce more of this content. Cheers.